Working on getting things off the bike, and I found this mess. Let's have a look. Is that spring broken? Looks it. That's probably what that clicking was earlier. But clutch cable comes into there and actuates that rod somehow. Is it keyed? I don't know, it doesn't look. I think it's round. Yeah, it's round, so I'm guessing it pushes in and out as it gets turned. But look at that mess. Disconnected the starter, put the cams and the cam caps and tensioner and cover back on. Discovered, where is it? That one. There's a thread down there that needs cleaning up, so I can't get that bolt in. Well, I didn't want to try it because I couldn't get that one or the other one in, so must be thread in there. Clean that once the engine's out. What else have I got to do? Oh, I've got to disconnect. I think that's neutral switch, which doesn't seem to work anyway. What else have I got in there? Oh, that's probably going into this. Oh no, don't know what, that's probably going to the CDI, that, or the regulator. Off what would be starter in there. So I've got to get that chain off. How am I going to do that? Yeah, loosen that, push it forwards, or disconnect that grubby chain so I can get it off that sprocket. Need to put, where is it? This on every single bolt holding in the frame, including, where is it? That, the header clamps, and the bolts that are holding in the half frame. The frame is on one side is disconnectable, so you can get the engine out, which is nice. Got that piece off. There is so much. That's all that there is just chain grease collected, and this is how it works as it gets pulled up. That rises, and which way does it go? That way, I'm guessing. That rod then pushes into somewhere in the clutch, probably releasing the pressure plate. Just maybe directly on the pressure plate by another bar or something. Shaft. The bolts that are holding in the flanges are completely corroded, and either they've been stripped before or, well, they're just completely corroded out, so they've got to come out or off, and the only way I could think getting them off, well, I don't think mole grips will work on it because they are completely rusted. I think they'll just spin. I think I can get this engine out with the exhaust still attached. It looks possible. Maybe. I think it's possible because it's clear of the, what's it called, the centre stand. You can see the bolts there and there, so I think it's possible to drop that out with the exhaust on, which is going to be a real pain in the arse. But once it's off, I might be able to drill those bolts out. I think that's the only way about it. So far I have got, I think, everything disconnected, so that's the neutral cable and the power. Well, it's coming off the alternator. What else? That's disconnected. I've disconnected these two cables which are attached to the engine. I think one's a ground and the other one's the ignition or timing leads. What else have I got done? Every single bolt that I can see that attaches the engine has been undone, so now the frame is ready to come out, or this bit. I've just left all these nuts and bolts in with partially done up, so I don't know, it doesn't slip or something. But that's all ready to come off. Every engine bolt is undone, so that one's pretty much off. Same with that one, and that one. I think everything's disconnected. Oh, hang on, no it isn't. Tacho cable, oh, that's easy enough to undo. It's exactly the same on the DR125. That one little bolt, and then that releases that. I don't think I even need to do that. I think I can just unscrew that. But they're pretty flimsy. They're aluminium. I may take the whole lot out. Might be safer. That was easy enough. I'm leaving it partially in there because oil's dripping out. But that's ready to come out at any moment's notice. And before I fuck up anything else, I'm going to leave it there. I think that's everything detached and loosened, apart from the header bolts. There's nothing I can do about that without really messing something up with an angle grinder. So I'll leave that till tomorrow. Try and drop the engine out on the side. Okay, so I'm ready to get this engine out. What I'm going to do is finish off taking all the bolts out, and then tilt the bike onto the side here, and then maneuver it out somehow. Yeah, that's the plan. Let's see how it goes. First piece off. So here we are, bike's on its side. I can get all of the bolts, and well, that one did come out earlier. It's a bit tricky, but this one is proving to be very problematic. Giving it lots of plus gas and heats, and I'm pretty sure it's stuck in the block itself. It's frozen solid with rust, I'm pretty sure of it. And I'm sure this half of it is about to snap. I can get it to turn, but that end doesn't turn with it. So I'm in two minds about doing this. Either cut it off or keep turning it until it snaps. I'll give it some more heat, more plus gas, and I don't know. I prefer to get it out. Finally got that free. However, you see it's still there. That's because I snapped it. Did it on purpose because when I saw that, when it was on its side, I realised that's never coming out easily. So I think easier just to snap it off, because there's no way I'm getting that out whilst it's still in the frame. Don't know how I'm going to get it out afterwards, but we're going to get to that when we need to. So the engine's out. That was difficult. I tried to get out with some finesse, but it seemed to be easier if you just put the bike up, let the bike drop down, the engine drop down, then put it on its side and wiggle it out. I tried to put it on its side first and try to wiggle the bike around. Just couldn't figure out how it would go until I stood up, and then it went bump, and then it was pretty much out. But before that, I didn't quite get to protecting that for long. It's on the floor. I took the wing mirror off earlier, then yeah, that came off. They're dirt cheap, so whatever. Now that it's out, I have got to get these header bolts off, which are completely knackered. They're rusted to hell. The hex inside is rusted out, so nothing fits on them. So I'm going to have to cut them off. I'm not sure I'm going to do that one. So cut them off as much as possible and chisel, and that will free off. That should free off the what's that? Holder? Yeah, the holder. Then the exhaust can come off. Right, better go on. Right, I've brought the engine along with its exhaust into the garage. I've reassembled the other bike. Well, I've reassembled the GS500 with all its loose parts, minus the airbox. So it's out of the garage, and I've put it in space outside under a cover. That'll do for now, because I need the room to work on this. I tried to, if it'll focus, angle grind and chisel off the bolt, and it's worked for one. It looks a bit gnarly on the what's that called? The flange mount, but that's replaceable. All it's doing is just holding the exhaust, or clamping the exhaust onto the cylinder. So whatever happens to that is just superficial. However, I've tried drilling out the other ones, and they are immediately burning out my bits. They're seemingly quite hard, or they've got hard over time. The drill bits last about a second, and then they're wasted. I can't see them all, but it's knackered. Oh, where is it? I lost it. Oh, there. And it's hard to see, can't get to it, but I'm trying to figure out another way. One is to get cobalt drill bits, pricey. The other thing is spend a lot of time with the Dremel. Poop. I think it's Dremel time. Of course, the easiest option is just to cut the pipes off and then have at it with a angle grinder on the bolts, but trying to preserve this pipe because it's not ruined yet. Yesterday I was burning out drill bits really quickly, even trying to keep the speeds down. So today I went and bought a few items. The DeWalt ones are cobalt drill bits. I wanted to get some They're different sizes, but that's all Screwfix have, apart from some tiny 1mm, 1.5mm ones, which I guess are for, I don't know. I got that for some reason. I think because it was cheap, maybe. HSSR is just HSS, which I already have. All my high-speed steel, or supposedly high-speed steel drill bits are not good, and I decided to stop using that. The slow speed is, well, it's a 1-speed drill, and I've got it set to the slowest speed, and it's really difficult to keep it slow. It just quickly winds up to warp speed and then burns out the drill bits, even using cutting fluid. So I've bought this thing. It was the cheapest 2-speed drill that Screwfix have. It's actually a lot nicer than that one I bought from Machine Mart. I did pay a bit more for this though. It's got metal attachments instead of plastic on there, and it's got a bit more gravity to it. It's got a 2-speed gearbox in there. Ooh, that's one first gear, and it's got a keyless chuck, which is metal. Feels reasonable. I don't know what Sanu means. So I'm going to use this along with the cobalt drill bits to get at those. I got that one, I drilled that one out, I angle grinded and chiseled that one off, and I've got 2 left. I may have to drill those ones out a bit more if they're stuck in there. Tell you what, this combo's excellent. Being able to drive a bigger drill bit at low speeds and high torque made easy work of that. That's another one snapped off. Now there's one more to do. There's one more to do down there, so I'm going to have to reposition the engine a bit somehow. Well, that was difficult. It's finally off. Took fair, well, I say fair, it took quite a lot of hackery to get that off. I was contemplating just taking a hacksaw to them, but I realised it was way too fine a pitch, and I did actually try to cut through one side, and it was realised it was going to take forever, so I just kept at it with the map gas torch and a bit of drilling and a bit of dremeling action, where the Dremel's gone. And finally it came off. See, the next problem I got are that these headers look pretty much rusted into the cylinder head. Oh goody. Now I don't know how to go about fixing that, or not fixing, just dealing with that. So that's that update. I think I'll leave it there. Soak these headers in plus gas, and then deal with that another day, probably tomorrow. I've power sawed off the headers because whilst I was trying to get the exhaust off, just huge chunks of rust were coming off the silencer. It is. Okay, I thought that was just an outer layer, but there you can see baffle, and this thing is just crumbling apart. So I'm not, rather than waste more time trying to get the exhaust off cleanly, I thought sod it, it's coming off. So that's my new exhaust setup. headers are well and truly rusted in there. I was able to get them moving slowly out, but it was taking ages. I was just tapping it on the back with a piece of wood and a mallet, and it was moving, but I just couldn't see getting these off together. Maybe one at a time, but not together. So now I've got to get these little stubbies out, and they'll do until I get a stainless exhaust. I had a look up online. A second-hand one, original of these, is about £100. 240 gets you full stainless setup. I don't need stainless, but I just hate rust. And this isn't the first time I've had to deal with rusty headers. That one had rusty headers, and exhaust studs, and that one had stuck exhaust collars, which I had to cut off, and then the exhaust was stuck in the head, though thankfully it was mostly chromed and some persuasion was needed to get them off. This one came with completely bare pipes with bolts for some reason holding in the collars, which was frankly I think is a stupid idea. And these headers have got well and truly glued in there with rust. So now it should be a lot easier to get these out independently. Got the first header out. That wasn't actually too bad, but you can see that is all rust. Just all rust. That wasn't too bad. What I did was just hung off it and gave it a tap with a mallet around, and it just popped out. There's no way I'd be able to do that with the rest of the exhaust on, because it just wouldn't be able to get the movement. Hit it with a hammer, just rocked it and pulled at the same time, and had it popped. This has been soaking in a lot of that plus gas for quite a while, a couple of days, but it's out now. Now for that one.